All right, welcome back to Johnny Over Under. We have a special guest today. The illustrious Tom Gimler has joined us. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Loving life, baby. Loving life.
I love it. How cold is it in Wisconsin right now?
See, today's a heat wave. It was in the 30s. So this is the day that you plan. You just say, okay, today we're walking to school. Why are we walking to school today, Dad? Because it's going to be -1 on Monday.
So a brief story on Tom. Grew up in Wisconsin. We met out in California couple years ago. And then in the last 2 or 3 years, he's done 2 years in Florida, and now they are officially back in Wisconsin. So this is your second winter, right?
Yep. So we are back in the thick of it. It's a lot better when you have a kid. You actually love the snow coming because you're like, okay, I get to go sledding with the kid. If I was single, I would be drinking more whiskey than I already am.
Yeah, and your uncles are way funnier too. You know what I mean? Back home in the Midwest, the shit they do, they get in a fight in a quarter poker game or something.
I don't even know how good I'm going to be on these picks because literally when I moved back to Wisconsin, I got dumber. I felt I was always smarter out by you guys. I would come back and I would be using words and nobody knew what I was saying. The words were just too smart.
Yeah, well, it happens. All right, so we're going to break this up into 3 different podcasts. We're going to do each division in the National League. We're going to start with the NL West. With the world champion Dodgers, Arizona, San Diego, San Fran, Colorado. So we might as well just go in alphabetical order. Let's talk about Arizona. Their over-under is 85.5. Last year, 84.5, and they went over. Give me your initial thoughts on Arizona, and then we can break down a couple of things about rotation and lineup and stuff.
I would say over. I mean, they won 89 games last year, and Corbin Carroll, who should be their best player, arguably had as bad of a season as he could possibly ever have. It was not Tim Anderson-esque, but it was pretty bad. You got Marte, who MLB Network just said is the #1 second baseman overall. You lose Walker to Houston, but you bring in a guy like Josh Naylor. I think he's a great clubhouse guy. And then you haven't even mentioned the rotation yet. I think there's good bullpen pieces across the board. They've got the right manager in Lovello there. I think 85.5. If I had to right out of the gate throw a lock on it, this is one.
Yeah, I feel the same. You're essentially, when you look at the lineup here, you're essentially replacing Christian Walker with Naylor, and if you look at their numbers, believe it or not, Naylor's are better.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he went 31-108 last year. Now, Walker was hurt. He only played 130 games, but he was 26 and 84. And if you look at their average in OBP, they're basically the same.
And I think it's a lot easier to hit a home run in the Bob than it is at Progressive Field.
Yeah, and so I know another guy you and I were high on 2 years ago was Jake McCarthy, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And then he struggled, and then he came back strong last year.
Yeah, he essentially picked up where Corbin Carroll, failed.
That was another funny one without getting off topic. Remember I talked to you about one of my over-unders last year was Carroll over 23.5 homers, and it looked terrible until we got to August 15th.
And
he went on a bender, and then he still didn't get it. But remember, he had a streak where he hit 7 and 8 days. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, dude, this guy's back. I definitely like the over as well. I mean, if we get into the pitching rotation a little bit, Corbin Burns. I mean, just what a great signing for a team like that. You can get into that a little bit too, but Eduardo Rodriguez only pitched 10 games last year, and I know that dude's pretty flaky. And Fott being your number 5.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I think it's Brandon Fott.
I think so. To me, it's you're at a bar and you're like, I like her, but she's pretty fat. Like that. It's the way the couple of A's in the middle there. It's just
that's the Wisconsin thing you just.
I feel like I want to pronounce the P. I want to pronounce the P.
You want to in Wisconsin? You can do it.
Sure, we pronounce every single.
I'll hear people give you
Illinois.
Yeah. So what do you think about Burns signing with them? I mean, he's arguably top 3 or 4 free agents this year, right?
Well, I think so he's obviously going to be their ace. How many times did Zach Gallen throw a game and it was 1-0, 2-1 or something like that? Now Zach Gallen is your number 2, and he's arguably better than anybody else's, ace. I mean, now Ohtani's obviously going to be pitching for the Dodgers, but I would take, Gallen as an ace on the Brewers or any other NL team out there.
Nice. And then I don't know if you noticed the closer situation. So they have Justin Martinez listed, and I know he doesn't have a ton of experience, but when you have AJ Puck and Ginkel behind him, I think, who can step in if that dude struggles, that doesn't worry me so much. If I'm an over guy, I'm not quite as scared.
The Puck, I think Puck is due. Like, he's been such a talked about guy. It was like if you're doing fantasy drafts, like you're picking him, right? You're like he was on everybody's
He's a fun
radar.
guy to pick too. Isn't he like 6'9"? Is that the guy I'm thinking of? Right? Isn't he huge?
I honestly don't know. I just remember every time I picked him up, even in like a keeper league, they're like, "Oh, nice pick," and he never amounted to anything.
No, he isn't good shit.
So he's due, but these are the guys. Like, how many years did Profar? How many years did he falter?
Oh,
and
forever.
then finally he's coming around. So I think
he was supposed to
Puck's in that
replace Elvis
situation.
Andrews, I think, in Texas, and then they brought him up one year, and they were like, "No, let's move him to second base."
and let's move him to another team.
Right, and then he hits free agency, and next thing you know, he's good to go.
So I think he's due.
I like him too. All right, let's move over to the Dodgers. Dodgers at 102.5. They were 103.5 last year, and they did not hit.
They're hitting this year.
They're hitting this year.
Ohtani's throwing. You're.
Yeah, let me give you a couple tidbits to go off. So they re-signed Teoscar Hernandez, which is an amazing re-signing, and a pretty amazing deal. They bring in Conforto, always hurt, but you could see him being injected into a lineup like that and just having a crazy year like Teoscar did last year. And then re-signing Tommy Edman, who I know we both really like. So James Outman's not even in the lineup. You know what I mean? And then tell me a little bit what you're thinking about the lineup.
Hernandez is another one of those signings. Now, outside of Dodgers fans, these contracts are all really bad for baseball. How are any of these teams, like especially like a Miami or a Milwaukee? How is anybody supposed to compete when these guys aren't getting all that money right now? My guess is that whoever owns the Dodgers right now, they're going to sell them in about like 5 years and just say, here you go. You go. Congratulations paying these guys into the 2100s.
Starters, they bring in Blake Snell, which is insane. But we know from last year, tons of guys like Glasnow and May and Gonsolin coming back from injuries and constantly getting hurt. So what's your feel for their health and how you're feeling about the rotation?
I don't think it matters. I think they're just so loaded top to bottom that it's going to be one of those things where somebody else steps up. The Dodgers are a team, they always make trades at the deadline and they bring in like top tier talent and don't give up their top prospects. So if somebody goes down and some guy you and I don't know about is going to step in there, and that lineup's going to give them 9 runs of support.
Watch him somehow get Alcantara from Miami somehow, just in the middle of the year. And you're like, what?
Well, even if you
Who
go
did
on
they
MLB,
trade for him?
even if you go on MLB Network and you look at like the free agent tracker, like the top 25 free agents, some are already signed. The other ones that are left, good fit Dodgers. Every single one is like good fit Dodgers. Everybody's a good fit. And like Conforto's going to have an amazing year. He stunk with the Mets because he was supposed to be the guy. Now he's going to be hitting like 8th and he's going to be seeing pitches. He's going to hit like 30 bombs.
Yeah, if Jason Hayward can do all right there, then that says a lot. What do you think about Ohtani? I mean, everything I read, it's a maybe. It sounds like the Dodgers don't want him to pitch, but he wants to pitch, and they're like trying to work out a way where, unlike the Angels, where I believe it was if he pitched, he was off the next day. He didn't even hit. But I think with the Dodgers, it's like, what's the value there? Like, what's the trade-off if he's not in the lineup 25 times, but he's maybe just pinch hitting?
I would pitch him. I would just say, hey, whatever you want. Like he's that good when he pitches. Either that or just say like, hey, the minute you hit 90 pitches, we're pulling you. That's it. We'll let you pitch, but you better make your pitches count because you're only going 5 or 6. Yeah,
and then moving over to the bullpen, I mean, they got everybody back. They got Kopech trying in, and who was the other dude? I'm blanking out now. Oh, Evan Phillips. He was okay there. He had a minute, but they got Vesia and Brazier and all those other little guys in there. Gratterall come in and have like an amazing couple weeks. But the Dodgers look loaded, man. So I guess the only argument for over-unders would be they went under last year. What are your kind of 2 or 3 keys why you're confident in the over this year?
Yeah, but last year didn't they kind of struggle in like May or June? And I remember like my old
it was a
buddy,
bullpen thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and my buddy, I remember my old flag football buddy Kenley Jansen used to tell me like, hey, listen, it's. Am I supposed to get up in May? Am I supposed to get up for a game in May and pretend that it's September, October? Like I'll be there in September, October. Don't worry about it. But I really don't think a team like that is going to have a lull. Like, just when you say, oh, my God, look at all of these guys sitting today, let me load up on the Giants or whoever they're playing. And it's like Chris Taylor shows up and he's 3 for 4 because he's protected by the other guys who are who are in that lineup. I honestly don't think it matters. Like, this is going to be a team you watch. It's going to be like 110, 112 wins. They're going to be pushing that Seattle Mariners team from like the late 90s.
Right. I like it. I don't know. They're sort of like on my border. You know, we're both going to pick 2 locks in every division and 1 wild card. As in right now, I sort of have them slotted in as my wild card team. But I have found living out here, playing softball with all the guys who are Dodger fans, it's kind of fun to go the other way. But I have to admit, I had so much fun watching them last year in the playoffs. They were so likable. All right, let's move on to the Padres. They are 83.5 last year. They crushed it.
I think this is almost one of my locks for the under. And the Jackson Merrill kid is unbelievable, and Michael King, ever since coming over from the Yankees, has been great. But there's nothing that screams this team. Now, again, anything can happen between now and then with like the free agent wire and whoever they're going to bring in with some of these international signings. But I don't see them competing, at least with what they've got right now. They'd have to bring in like 1 or 2 more pieces. Like, you bring in a Pete Alonso, let's talk.
I think King, he's a Cy Young pick for me. Like, that dude was so dominant. I definitely don't think an over. Man, that's a fence one for me. I'm not really sure with the Padres. I mean, they bring back Suarez as their closer. He was arguably one of the best last year out of the blue, which is kind of nice. And their rotation's pretty damn loaded. I don't know, man. I'm on the fence on that one. But again, that transitions into the Giants because you look at the Giants, you're like, oh, they made some really nice improvements. But that division is so top heavy to me with all these other teams. So San Fran brings in your boy Willy Adames. You want to give us some quick feelings? Are you happy for the guy? Do you think he's going to do well? Did he get paid and he's done now?
No, absolutely. I think he's great. Like, when he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's not. It's like, oh boy. Like, I remember all my buddies, like, it'd be like a week of him, like, maybe getting 1 or 2 hits, and they're like, oh, he's costing himself some money right now. But like, when push comes to shove, he shows up, still plays a great shortstop, and I think he's a solid clubhouse guy. This
rotation's a little interesting. I mean, obviously Logan Webb is pretty solid. Robbie Ray, every other year, you never know. And
what about my boy Justin Verlander? You bring him in, you get Kate Upton out in those the San Francisco seats there, a nice June night where it's 46 degrees.
What is that guy doing? Is he not like his wife? Because I know you do.
Oh, I love her, but she, what are you going to do? You're 42 years old. The guy says, here's 1 year, $15 million. How can you turn that down?
I guess, but like, how much do you need, man? I mean, I don't know. I got to look into what his lifetime contract is. How about your boy Wilmer Flores? Feels like he's been around since the 80s.
That's one guy who did want to play for the Brewers. Yeah, that pretty much summed up where free agents, when it comes to free agents wanting to go to Milwaukee, it was like, hey, you just got traded to Milwaukee. He starts crying, a grown man on a baseball diamond.
Yeah, no, I do like the Giants, though. I think with the bullpen, they got Walker. They got the 2 Rogers boys back there, too. Those guys are pretty solid. So 79.5 for the Giants. Last year, 83.5. They did not hit it. They just missed it. I think they got like 80 or 81. And then lastly,
I'm not saying that they're going to win the division at all, but I think they're a 500 team. And that's why with that number there, I think that they're 500 or just a smidge better. And even against the West last year, they played 500 ball against the West, and arguably the best division in baseball.
Yeah. And then Colorado, we're not going to spend a ton of time on Colorado. I don't know if you know this, but they're over under 60.5. It was 60.5 last year, and I think they won 61 games.
It's one of these teams where you look at a buddy and you say, name 5 guys on the Colorado Rockies, and Bud Black, his manager, doesn't count, right? It's one of those teams where like someone in this division has to lose games. I think if it went back to, remember they used to play like 19 divisional games. If they were still playing 19 divisional games, this would be an absolute lock. But still, I think I saw something like they're not projecting anybody in the bullpen to have an ERA under 4.37. Right. And against like the teams we just talked about, good luck with that.
All right, so let's get to our 2 locks. Who are you leaning towards?
In the division.
2 locks in the division and 1 wild card.
I would say the locks are Arizona and Los Angeles.
Arizona, both overs.
Both overs, yep.
Okay, and then if you had a wild card pick, who are you taking?
I'm going to go with the San Diego under. If they get 2 or 3 names, then it's not such a sexy wild card anymore. But I really, really, really think they're not going to win as many games as people think.
Yeah, I think with you and our other friend Seth, who's going to do the AL with me, we're going to revisit this like second week in March. And you're going to be allowed to, erase some picks and put some new ones in there. But I'm going to go Arizona.
Still plenty of time for Tatis to get in a motorcycle accident.
Or something worse. Yeah, that guy. I'm going to go Arizona.
Throws his arm out at a carnival in the Dominican.
Right. Trying to set like the miles per hour record over there or something.
Yeah, nobody's knocked over 14 clowns with 3 balls in years down here. Let's go.
I'm going to go Arizona over as a lock. I'm actually going to take the Dodgers under as a lock. I don't think they're motivated to win 115 games. I think they're motivated to do what they always do and stay healthy and be healthy for the playoffs. I don't know. I win 99 games. Like, why didn't they do that last year? I know they had that one little spurt in there, but like, I don't know. They should have easily done it last year. Anyways, and then my wild card, I am going to take the Giants over 79.5, but again, being like 80-81. Like, I definitely do the limp into that.
Like, it's coming down to last week. That's a last week bet. Either way, whether or not they make it or not, it's the last week.
All right, folks, this podcast was sponsored unofficially by Flyers Cocktails. If you're somebody who did the old dry January or want to take it easy on the booze, 5% hemp. These are delicious. The old-fashioned. Pretty tasty. They have a margarita. They have a spritz. Pretty good stuff. You get a 20% off thing. And so sponsor us, Flyers. Come on, man. Throw us a little bucks. Anyways,
I don't like how you're like throwing it in my face. I can't get that out here.
Why not? It's internet, man.
Oh, never mind.
Like some guy at a taco stand down the street is selling or something. All right, that was the NL West. Hit us up in the comments. Tell us your ideas. We're going to come back and we're going to win more free agents and everybody gets signed. But that was the NL West. And then join us the next couple of days. We're going to put on the NL Central and the NL East. All right, see you in a minute, Tom.